Happy Tuesday. That's right. Tech Bites Tuesday. Do not adjust your stream. You are in the right place. I am Rick Vanover, the Ricketron, and we are joined by a special guest from Atomic Data. I'm joined by Tim Grosshuesch. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. How are you today, Rick?
Hey, you know what? I'm doing great. We have mixed it up. I've got a trip. I'm going to be in New York later in the week. Had an opportunity to take the Tuesday spot, so we did, and we're really happy to do that. I'm based in Central Ohio. One of our producers is in North Texas, and then I've got another producer coming at you live from the Barncade in Central Ohio. But we want to know where you all are tuning in from. So Felicia's working. We got Fabiana from Philly, a couple others. Let us know in the stream. I'm watching it right here. Where you're tuning in from, what U.S. state, what Canadian province, what country. We'll light up the application. We love doing that. It's a lot of fun. So, Tim, take a moment. I know you're coming in from Minnesota. Take a moment, introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tim Grosshuesch. I'm here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been with Atomic Data for 14 years. I've held a number of roles. My technical background is in virtualization, storage. I am the director of our service offerings. We are my team is responsible for all of our practices. We have 4 core practices: Microsoft Solutions, Infrastructure and Cloud, Security and Compliance, Data Intelligence and Automation, and we wrap all that with our VCXO and Project Management Office practice. We're a managed service provider, cloud service provider. We operate 24/7 by 365, and we're staffed as that at that level. And then we're about 250 employees here in Minneapolis, with a core amount of staff here, with staff all over the United States as well.
Well, rock on. Well, two things are super in common that I just noticed. Number one, we both are getting blasted by the sun here. It's a kind of a weird, sunny but cold day in the Midwest United States. And then secondly, I am over 14 years at Veeam as well. Hat tip to you there, Tim. I very much admire tenure. That is kind of rare nowadays. So rock on. Oh, we got somebody tuning in from Angola. That might be a first on my stream. I'm going to give you a like, Edison. But anyways, big welcome, everyone. We have a really cool topic here to look at today. So thank you, Jeffrey. We're going to talk about best practices for backups. These are, some of the fundamental things, the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. We'll define that here in a second. Encryption and immutability. And to put it in football terms, we're at the edge of some big football games and stuff. I'd say these are like, blocking and tackling, kind of table stake things nowadays, Tim. Would you agree?
Yes, very much so. These are table stakes.
Yeah, indeed. And I think you'll need all of these, and I'll do my best to kind of limit the jokes. I have a different number of jokes, and he did give us the overview of Atomic Data. One question I have for you, Tim. How long has Atomic Data been in business? I've been at Veeam for several years, and I've never heard of you guys.
We're coming up
Yeah.
on 25 years or so. We started in the data center space and kind of expanded from that. The company, there were about 30 employees when I started about 14 years ago, and we're about 250 now. It's been really fun to grow and watch the organization grow and enter some new market spaces for ourselves.
Wow. So, but 10x growth or such in terms of employees. And was it always called Atomic Data? Maybe I missed a name change.
Oh,
Maybe that.
it's had a variety of name changes.
Really?
Originally, it was Atomic Colo, as an
Okay.
atomic colocation, because that was one of the core things the company did when it was founded.
Really? That's cool.
And has just grown in the data center space and then moved into other areas where we view ourselves as an IT as a service provider, working in managed service provider space, cloud service provider space, and doing various pieces of consulting for our customers. Very much an IT as a service. We are heavily engaged with our customers. We view in partnerships. Our customers, we want somebody not just be a transactional. We want a 10+ year engagement with our customers and help them through the good times and the bad times.
Good stuff. Well, I'm also going to give you a little clap. I don't know. It doesn't work. I was going to do the reactions. It's going to give you a little clap because I want to thank you for also having your headshot match your actual self. So, some people don't do that much nowadays. So, all right. Well, let's get into the meat of what we're wanting to talk about. I love how Fabiana on the chat was trying to put me back on task. I want to say he's happy for one of the football teams, but let's talk backups. And I guess let's start with kind of a state of the market. Tim, you and I both, we have a lot in common in our practice. And then, our partnership as well as some of the technologies help your team do what your team does. And then secondly, your team helps us do what we do. It's a great relationship. But, what are some of the observations you have? And is it always a dumpster fire?
No, I feel that data protection is a journey, right? There's this starting with you don't have any backups to having something. And then as we proceed down the 3-2-1-1-0 rule, getting to greater maturity, greater confidence in what you have. So that you're prepared for any incident, whether that's a security incident, a natural disaster. Our hearts go out to the folks out in California right now. Human error, right? If somebody makes a mistake, we're all human. People make mistakes and inadvertently delete things they shouldn't have. Or if there's a catastrophic event like hardware failure. I personally experienced that early in my career. And it's probably one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about data protection. I was working for a small managed service provider. Our array crashed, like it catastrophically crashed. We had people on the phone 60 plus hours with the manufacturer. It was one of the big 5 manufacturers, and we had to recover everything. And that was our biggest concern, was time and recovering everything, because we didn't anticipate a full array failure.
Yeah, you think about those large capital investments. It's one of those things like, hey, this should be available for us. And I think we all have our stories. And I want to echo your comment about the California fires. And that actually hits personal to me. My family and I, we took our kind of winter break vacation, right? Half the time before the new year, half the time after. And we went to the parks and everything, went into the Angeles National Forest. And literally a week later, we wouldn't have been able to do those, we would have been impacted by that. So much less, the place we were staying. I know it's okay, but that is absolutely crazy. And then having to, see and smell and do those things, wild, wild. But I think I'll give you another example when it comes to the state of risk, and a little bit of a specific example for me, which made me fall in love with backup. And I actually initially just said because I'm lazy, because I didn't want to have to do it again. Just a small piece of history. I used to be a implementation engineer in the supply chain industry. So back in the 2000s, when you would order something online and it would show up tomorrow, that was a lot of work. I
Yeah.
worked on the systems that did that. And we're talking, million square foot warehouses and conveyor systems and all of that, laser beams, robots, you name it, we did it. But you know what? It was just a database. The equipment's the equipment. My team was in charge of the brains of those systems. So I didn't want to lose a day's work, because you know what that meant? I didn't get to go home. I had to stay an extra day if that was the case, maybe 2 as a punishment. So my thought was, I really invested in backup, and I've got plenty of examples of, bad things happening to good data, and I want to stop seeing that. So that made me prioritize data protection in my experience. But I bring that example up because I think, take the history of atomic colo and take the reality of where you are with atomic data. Data is that central unit, and it can live anywhere. It can be the edge. It could be data centers. What's a data center nowadays? What's the edge nowadays? The definitions, the school bus didn't end well, but, there's smart vehicles nowadays. What is the edge? And so I think a lot of people have to give a lot of thought to where their data is, and then what is the impact if there's any harm to it.
Yeah, we talk a lot about risk in our practice areas and with our customers. One of my colleagues, Dustin Saunders, helped us put this in place. We talk about operational risks, right? If something happens, what is the impact to the business? Can you still ship things? Can you still do normal business practices? What's impacted? We talk about monetary risks, right? Unexpected costs for replacements. Do you have to issue some credits with your customers? And then we talk about symbolic risks, like what is the reputational damage to your organization, to your customers, your shareholders? In that earlier example I gave, our salesperson told us that he couldn't sell what we were delivering anymore because the reputational damage took place against the company.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's really important, because there's other factors: reputational, business, the ability to pay. Talk to some people that, prepare for incidents. They actually say one of the first systems you should bring back online is your accounts payable. Keep your suppliers, supplying and stuff like that. Speaking of supply, we do have a good supply of entries from the map. So let's take a quick look at the map real quick. And goodness gracious, we've got a bunch. Let's start in the US here. We've added Missouri, we've added North Carolina, Pennsylvania, we've added a couple places in Canada. So big welcome. Let's go to South America. We'll call it Europe this time. We'll go to Germany and France. And what's down there? Oh, I think we'll get that on the APAC region. And let's go to South America. We've got Brazil, and it's really tiny, but we got Trinidad and Tobago. David James, is that you tuning in? That's the only person I know from Trinidad, other than Billy Ocean. And then over in Africa, we've got Angola tuning in. That might be a first on my live streams. And then over in the APJ region, we've got, looks like UAE, Iran, and Adelaide, Australia. 3:30 a.m. Holy buckets. That respect. That's awesome. Speaking of respect, Tim, and if anybody's watching from Brunel, Florida, no, I'm not making fun of your zip code. I'm actually saying this is the place. Tim, this is something that, we here at Veeam and you at Atomic Data have really doubled down on, and we've been promoting really as long as I've been here at Veeam. But what's your take on this recipe for success, the 3-2-1 rule?
The 3-2-1 rule is fantastic, and you can take this recipe across any organization. And having this lays a solid foundation that if something bad happens, and we shouldn't even say if, when something bad happens, especially with ransomware, the bad guys only have to win once, that you are prepared, you have got options to recover. And that's the thing that we really, I tell my customers all the time that Veeam will help you recover. They give you options. There's flexibility in the recovery. And following this mantra will help ensure that we can recover when bad things happen.
Yeah, I look at the 3-2-1 rule. And first of all, I got to give a big shout out to Peter Crow, a photographer. I believe he's semi-retired now. He coined the term. Initially, it was 3-2-1. So 3 different copies of data, 2 different media, one of which was offsite. And that was really when the photography industry went from film to SD cards, very different media. And it's hard to manage. And I reached out to Peter and got his comments. We have that on the Veeam blog somewhere. But, he just gave us a new take on it. And what I want to add to the 3-2-1 rule is that it doesn't require any specific hardware. You could include the cloud. You could include tape. You could include removable media, disk storage, snapshots. Might be missing something. I don't know. Lots of service provider technologies you could include. Also, just partner-led solutions, or even logical kind of copies. Like I like how Cloud Connect, for example. There's a copy that end users can't see. That is over on the right. The 2 important parts. Something that's offline, air-gapped, immutable, or requires 4 eyes authorization. I would put the Cloud Connect Insider Protection in this bucket because it's ultra resilient. I made up a word. I do that on Tuesdays. But the Cloud Connect Insider copy over here is ultra resilient. And then the kind of finer points in life now really complete this out with the 0, in that the data that we have, there's really no surprises. We have automatic recovery verification technology. There's an incredible list of ways nowadays to ensure that it's malware free with Veeam. So that's really kind of the recipe for success. And I talked to a lot of clients today, Tim. There are only 2 copies, or they haven't really completely addressed the offsite copy solution. I got to think that comes up in your conversations often as well.
That does come up in conversations where many of them only have 1 backup copy, or they'll try to just have an offsite copy and they'll just try to do backup and it's somewhere else. And that, of course, can complicate recovery efforts. And so we walk them through, what recovery time objectives are, ask what's important to you, right? Where is the risk to your organization if something goes offline? And then talk about the recovery points, like how much data can we stand to lose? Everyone, of course, says, I don't want to lose anything. And then you start going through the complexity, right, of what is it going to take to really not lose anything? And then you start backing off and realizing, okay, what do we actually need? and what aligns better than with our budgets.
Yeah, and when we think about the tools in our toolbox to get there, when I have those conversations with people, Tim, it usually comes into three very distinct buckets, and they're not equally sized, but there's an inventory of stuff that we need right away.
Yep.
Then there's an inventory of stuff that we need next, and then there's, well, we don't actually need that. That's what I usually find when they do these. Actually, it's best to go through an actual drill rather than to just sit around the conference room and think about it, because the only way to learn how to swim is by swimming.
Yep.
That's the only way to tell you what you're really going to need in an incident. But tell me about some of the tools that you and your colleagues at Atomic Data have put in the market to really solve some of these problems.
So we solve a number of these problems. We're a Cloud Connect provider, and we do have insider threat protection. So that's a real win for our customers purchasing BAS solutions from us. In addition to that, we really enjoy the things that Veeam has brought to market around hardened repositories. You can pick your own S3 vendor of choice. And of course, there's many out there that have immutable options while leveraging Veeam software, but having a local hardened repository is a fantastic path. It's a relatively straightforward and easy path. It gives us very quick recovery because our most likely recovery is going to be in the data center. It's not going to be a disaster, a natural disaster, something that destroyed the physically destroyed the environment. We also leverage encryption. We love the encryption component because you may have a bad actor in your network and not know it, and getting access to that data and then having as much time as you want to try to decrypt, to try to open that file is an actual risk. We talk also about ensuring customers are doing best practices. We still, and I'm sure you've seen this also, Rick, where you've got customers that have established practices. They've been doing things for the last 10 years and haven't modernized some of their things, such as role-based access controls, or ensuring that their backup environment is in a separate IDP as production, limiting who can do things and what they can do. That's something that often comes up in conversations I have with customers that have been using your product or others for years.
The one thing I shrill and shriek and don't like to hear the most in a meeting is we've always done it that way. Okay. I never had to do anything different. And I'm like, oh, friend, I have seen some things. And again, bad things happening to good data. You don't want to be there. And I'm not in the business of trying to scare people away, but I am in the business of really educating organizations about just the capabilities, a portable data format, especially when something does happen, say cybersecurity or fire, flood, and blood type of incident, having a place to go to, like a new infrastructure, and really the practical way to do that is with a managed service provider that has those types of resources. I said I wasn't going to crack jokes, okay, but I'm going to do it. Buying a second data center on your own real estate just for DR that you're never going to use and it would sit completely idle all day long. That's kind of like smoking. It's not a good idea, not a good time to start doing it. So the only real practical way to do those types of recoveries is to really think about, a managed service provider that has these types of resources. Sorry, I promise, no more jokes. But when I think about that, I think organizations need to have multiple ways out of a problem. And, there's always the plan, but sometimes things don't go as planned.
No, there's a lot of things out of your control. No one can plan for everything. And one of the most powerful features in the Veeam software package that we talk about with our customers frequently is the flexibility and the recovery. If you're a VMware shop and something happens, well, we've got the data in Veeam. It means we can restore to any of the public cloud providers. We can restore to other hypervisors. We can restore to someone such as myself who's running a Cloud Connect instance and has a VMware Cloud Director sitting right next to it. It's good to have options because there's things that are going to happen that you can't plan, that you're just not going to know. Your ability to recover fast, that is a critical component of your data protection strategy.
Yeah, and I think speed and the thing about a plan, and I'll get on my soapbox because I just made a public commitment on the LinkedIn stream. I won't do any more jokes, but I'll get on the soapbox, which is different than jokes. So I'm here in Central Ohio. We have one of our hubs for our tech support team. And one of the groups within that is the ransomware team. They specialize just in ransomware cases. And believe it or not, one of the biggest like surprises that we see in some of our case operations is organizations don't have a second plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, the plan was to recover here, or the plan was to do this, and for whatever reason, that's not a feasible option. So I really encourage organizations to think about a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and I want to double down on a different angle there. Think about doing it when the lead architect is on vacation, or huddle everybody in the room and have the two smartest people leave, because you know what? That's when the incidents are really going to strike. Again, you really are given so much more value and peace of mind when you know you've got this professional staff of services at the ready for some of these types of things. Have you ever had a scenario where one of your clients are, oh, we thought we were going to do this, but we can't, and we need to do that? And do you have any recommendations on how to do that? Have they ever come to you for that?
Yeah, no, we have had customers that their intent was to, recover either to primary site or change the type of recovery, and it ended up being we're short on hardware, or there's a security incident, we don't trust things. Can we recover not to something we have our control over, either recovery to a public cloud or recover to our cloud director instance that's for a private cloud we offer to our customers. I mean, like you said, no one knows what's going to hit you, and you just got to have options and be flexible and have ideas of what to accomplish what needs to be done.
And I tried to draw a C on the block here, because there's a D and there's an E and there's potentially an F, all 6 sides. Got to have some options when it comes to these types of scenarios. And the one last piece of advice I'll offer is to just really be familiar with doing some of this stuff, drilling. Again, the only way to learn how to swim is by swimming. So I recommend a lot of people do things like try to import a backup and do an absolute recovery. And you'll find, oh, I need the encryption key. Oh, I need the encryption, or I need the password to the target infrastructure, or oh, I need the bucket key, or oh, I need a license, right? These are the types of things that if you're out of your comfort zone doing an incident, you'll really think about, maybe I should put all this stuff in the password manager. So, oh, Fabiana likes my jokes. Okay, I'll give you a thumbs up for that. But good stuff. Now, Tim, we've been talking with the team, and a big shout out to Julie as well, who's helped us prep some of this material. And you all have put together some advice here, some resources. Tell us a little bit about this, and then Felicia's going to push out the link.
So we have a white paper that we've put together here at Atomic Data on some of the things that you can do to reduce ransomware and disaster recovery times, and some best practices around data resiliency. The last year in 2024, I mean, all the charts and trends show an increase in security incidents, and we have seen that with our clientele. Maybe there's something goofy there. We'll follow up on that.
It's my computer. Who knows?
But much more greater increase in customers that have opened up, contests where we've opened up security instances and war rooms. And for the ones that are very mature and have all the pieces, it's been okay. We have this. We can bring this back. Let's initiate our plans. For ones that aren't quite where they want to be through the journey, it's a little more work. But Atomic Data is a partner. We are engaged with our customers. We've seen some of the really bad things. We've seen some really good things. And through all of it, we've been with our customers. We've stood with them. We've helped them through whatever life throws at their business.
Awesome. So appreciate all that work that you all have done on your teams for that. And I think about, just the different angles that organizations have when you look at like what we've done here with our services offer. And also, oh, you're brave. You can put your email on there. So you're actually letting people talk to you. That's cool.
I love to talk to people, love to hear how we can help them.
Well, I think Julie put this one on mine, but I'll let it slide today. I'll allow it. So, but yeah, that's good stuff. But I think when we look at the market and these best practices, it does come down to blocking and tackling. I think a lot of times organizations miss on some of the fundamentals that can make the huge difference. I mean, to put it in football terms, because it's top of mind, the game is won at the line of scrimmage. And these rules that we started with, they really pave the way for for getting there. And encrypted backups, really good idea. Highly recommended as such. All right. That being said, I want to do a couple of quick promos. I have a Tech Bites next week, if I remember right, but I can't remember the topic, so I'm just going to say we'll be back on Thursday. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is Veeam On is all that I'm thinking about right about now. If you haven't heard, Veeam On is coming to San Diego on in April, and I want to draw your attention to the very soon expiration of the early rate registration, USD 599. I can tell you, I just have seen the first cut of the agenda. I've seen the top of the mountain, and it is good. So please join us here, learn about some of these tips and more. So, Tim, big thanks to you and the Atomic Data folks. Any closing comments?
I guess take care of your data, protect it. Look for a provider that's going to be there with you through the good and the bad and help you cross those mountains, go build bridges where they need to be built, and really ensure you have good data hygiene, that you have good backup hygiene. Follow the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. If you have that in place, you'll be very happy when disaster happens, whatever that may be.
You'll just be prepared. And then my kind of parting advice is just do some drills, do an import, cross-train your team.
Yep.
Think about just, a tabletop exercise. How would it go if? What would happen if? What if I lost? What if this happened? What if that happened? And then just little practical things like encryption passwords, bucket keys, if you have any of those, service account passwords. Have all of those in like your password manager, the place you'll need it when you'll recover.
Yep.
Things like that. So I think it's the advice is out there. Talk to the experts at Veeam and Atomic Data, and that is a good place to start. All right, I want to give a big thanks to both producers, Felicia in Texas working out on the social streams, and then to Jeffrey live from the Barncade working the video production here. So Tim, thanks again for being on the stream with us.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, Rick.
All right, everyone, that concludes the stream. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Veeam Tech Bites.